Okay, so I'm actually going to go over part 2 in this video. We're just kind of breaking it up into 3 parts. So in this part, you're going to download the Woman with Flowers image in week 2 and select the flowers on her head using the quick selection tool. And then you'll create a solid color adjustment layer and fill it with a distinct color to change the flower colors. Make sure your change is extreme so I can tell you changed it. We're going to save out a PSD file for this part. And you can watch this tutorial video to understand that. So if we're in week 2, we can click on this and push download. I don't think I went over that in the first video, which was kind of a mistake. But so there she is. She's downloaded. She's in my downloads folder, so I'm going to go into Photoshop. I'm going to X out of this. I'm going to do File, Open. You can also just push Open over here. We're going to go into the Downloads folder because that's where this should be. I need to go into my list view and date added so that I can find Woman with Flowers.jpg file. Open that up. And then next we will actually go over here to the Tools panel. Make sure you're in Windows Workspace Essentials. You might need to reset the Essentials. I like to have my toolbar brought out so that I can see better. So the selection tools, there's quite a few right here under the quick selection. If you click and hold on a tool, you can see other options. There's an object selection tool, there's a quick selection tool. We're actually going to use the quick selection tool for this image. And then we're just going to, let's do a Command plus or Control plus on a PC, Command plus on Mac. And let's just kind of go over the rose colors here. Maybe I'm just Command D to deselect. We're just gonna do like the white rose for now. I kind of don't want to have this included in my selection, so if I do Control plus or Command plus, depending on if you have a PC or a Mac, if you push Option down on your keyboard, you'll get a little minus. You should be able to subtract from your selection quite easily by holding Option down on a Mac or Alt on a PC, I believe, and you can actually subtract from your selection while holding that down. Maybe I want to add in this. Let's see. Let's go back to Add. You can also change it here by subtracting or adding here. Maybe I want to add a second part, and I want to change the color of this little rose here. If I can even get a decent selection. If I push Option down, I'm back on the minus. You can also just push on it. Maybe I want to kind of subtract that from. That's a really rough selection, but for the purpose of this particular assignment, that will work. So if you can make a similar selection while following along to this video. And then let's do down here, make sure your background is selected. Let's unlock it, and by clicking on the lock icon in the Layers panel. And then let's go to the adjustment layers down here. Let's create new fill or adjustment layer. So click on that, and then solid color. And we can actually change the color here. Maybe I want to make this rose blue. That's not a natural color, but that's okay. At least I know if you use kind of a crazy color that that you actually worked with this. So and we can actually change the blend mode here on the layer, so we have it selected. We can actually make it multiply, darken, screen, overlay. So you can do a lot of different things here. Multiply is actually a pretty good one, and we can actually change the kind of the opacity, you know, of that layer so that it looks a little bit more natural. But we definitely made it orange. And you can kind of detect that it's not the best, but it's a way of changing colors. And obviously if you were doing this professionally and you really wanted this to look really good, you would probably spend more time on your selection. You'd probably do a little bit more to make it look more realistic. So if we double click on the, I guess it's the solid fill adjustment, we can actually feather it, and I double clicked on the black icon, which is the mask, the layer mask basically, So we can actually feather out the edges of our selection. If you go too far, you can see it just kind of feathers so far that, but you can soften that hard edge a little bit, and that helps sometimes. Contrast, I don't know if that does anything. So that might be something that helps a little bit with your selection too, if it was a little bit rough. But anyway, that's kind of how you can overlay a color using a selection. It's called a color fill, and it's a color fill solid color adjustment layer over the top of the image. And luckily, you know, when it's an adjustment layer, we're not harming or changing the original image. We can quickly go back to the original image this way, so we're not destroying the original image. So when you have this done, where you've changed the color of this rose and possibly the bud here, using you know, a solid fill color here, and changing it possibly to multiply or another option here, you can do a file, save as, and let's put that in that same folder, the color assignment folder within our documents, and leave it the same. But we do want it to be a Photoshop, which it should be on that automatically. PSD, that's the working file with all the layers and everything. It's the native file out of Photoshop. So I want the PSD saved out of this image.